These latest headlines from ABC15 are sponsored by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorneys. One call, that's all.
I'm Faye Fredericks with your top stories from ABC15 Arizona. Man hospitalized with life-threatening injuries after being shot by police last night. Officers say he was acting suspiciously near a closed business at Peoria and 91st Avenue around 10:40 last night. An officer approached him. That's when Peoria police say the man ran into a nearby Circle K and eventually pulled out a gun. An officer then fired at least one shot, hitting the man in the torso. He was taken to the hospital. His name hasn't yet been released. Glendale police are taking over the criminal investigation. Peoria police will still oversee the administrative investigation. The man who started civilian police oversight in Phoenix is stepping down after just 2 years on the job. Roger Smith became Phoenix's first director of the Office of Accountability and Transparency in December of 2022. He sent a resignation letter to the city manager on Monday. That office does citizen outreach and monitors Phoenix police internal investigations, especially investigations involving serious uses of force or citizen complaints. It was supposed to produce public reports reviewing the department's tactics, policies, and disciplinary measures, but no monitoring reports were ever publicly released, and hiring for top positions was slow going. Smith's last day will be February 9th. Look for more on this ahead at 5. State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Horne and Governor Katie Hobbs, two of the main faces in the battle over ESAs or school vouchers. Horne among those today discussing a new report on the impact of ESAs on the state budget. This year, more students than expected enrolled for the Empowerment Scholarship accounts, which can pay for private school or homeschool expenses. The projected cost of the program going up by more than $100 million, but other Department of Education savings offset that.
It's a myth that the ESAs are causing bankruptcy for the state, and the fact is that they're not part in any way of the budget deficit. That's caused by other things.
Horne and state Republican leaders say overall taxpayers save money if a child is enrolled in the ESA program compared to paying for a traditional public school education based on the total cost, including property taxes and federal money. In just months, America will vote in a presidential election. And looking back at history, one thing that's continuously shaped these big elections is war and unrest. Right now, there's the Israeli-Hamas war, Ukraine and Russia, and that deadly drone strike that killed 3 American soldiers in Jordan. So exactly what kind of impact does it have at the ballot box?
In Vietnam, you had Lyndon Johnson delaying crucial decisions to launch ground operations and using air power until his election was assured in 1964. Richard Nixon staggered troop withdrawals in 1971 and 1972 to keep South Vietnam afloat.
Now, during the Vietnam War, President Richard Nixon once candidly said when it comes to the foreign policy process, winning an election is terribly important. Amid global conflict, President Biden now faces the task of re-election, and his foreign policy decisions could determine how many people vote in November. Big honor for a Valley Rabbi.
Our guest chaplain, Rabbi Mendy Daish, director of the Chabad of East Valley from Chandler, Arizona.
Yeah, you just heard his name mentioned, Rabbi Mendy Daish, who we've interviewed several times here at ABC 15, getting the chance to deliver the opening prayer on the floor of the U.S. Senate last week.
While each of us may come from different backgrounds, we stand here united with a shared vision and purpose, with conviction and determination, with love and strength to ensure that each day is better than the day before.
Rabbi also called for the release of the Israeli hostages and the safety of troops fighting in the war that's playing out in the Middle East. Rabbi says he was invited to speak by Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Each chamber of the legislature has its own chaplain, and frequently spiritual leaders from across the nation from various faiths are invited to lead lawmakers in prayer.
Tracking your forecast, I'm Chief Meteorologist Amber Sellens. 2 days in a row in the 80s, another one in the forecast tomorrow. The record, though, a little bit higher, so that one looks safe tomorrow afternoon. We'll start things out in the 50s, end up in the low 70s around lunchtime, hit 80 degrees around 4 p.m., and back down into the upper 70s around 6 o'clock tomorrow evening here in Phoenix. This ridge of high pressure keeping things warm, but it's moving out, and low pressure is moving in with cooler air, breezy winds, and chances for rain and snow across across the state of Arizona. Best bet's Thursday night, but continuing chances for scattered rain and snow showers and maybe even a few thunderstorms in and around the valley on Friday. Let's take a look at that forecast here. We are going to go into weather action mode Thursday and Friday with the possibility of anywhere from a half an inch to an inch of rain in Phoenix and the chance of about 3 to 6 inches of snow up in Flagstaff out of this storm. Temperatures dropping as well from 80 tomorrow down into the low 60s by Friday.